So you're thinking about getting a new board and you're not sure whether you should get that inflatable board or you should get the rigid board. And you heard that the inflatable ones, they suck and the rigids are more expensive and you're just not sure which one's best for you. I hope with this video I can help with your decision.
Welcome to Mat and Foil.
Welcome to another video. Today comparing the inflatable and the rigid boards, and I do that because when someone who wants to start wingfoiling asks, should I go for the cheaper inflatable one? I used to say, no, don't do it. It's not worth it. They're wobbly. But after testing these two boards today, I'm not sure about that anymore. Now, obviously, it's not the same board. One is longer and has a lot more liters, but they're both long and narrow boards, so that's what I had available and that's what I'm gonna compare. All right, let's talk about the obvious. The inflatable ones are cheaper. You don't hurt yourself when you fall on your board. If you take it out of the car and walk through the parking lot, you can hit a car or bump into a car. It doesn't matter. You can basically pull it over sand if you want. And of course, you can transport it more easy or just store it during the winter times when you don't want to fall. But the disadvantage is you have to pump it up before going out, and if you have a hole in it, it's not easy to fix. But that's just the basics. The most important question, obviously, is it fun to ride? And if I compare it to the rigid one, is it that much more fun to ride a rigid one? So let's see. All right, so here I went out with my rigid one. The wind was between 15 and 25 to even 30 knots that day. The rigid one has 102 liters of buoyancy. My weight is about 72 kilos. Underneath the board, there's an 85 centimeter aluminum mast, an Ypra L front wing, and a Veloce stab. I used the 5 square meter wing, and it took a while to get out, to get in the wind, but these long narrow boards are so easy to take off. If you hit the water coming down, it's so easy to get back up, and if you touch the water, it doesn't break at all, so you don't slow down that much. Now, that being said, these are the long boards, not the wider ones that I'm going to compare, so they're obviously a little different. And then I went out with the inflatable one, and I was really surprised. Now, as I've said, this board is a little longer, so it's easier to get up on the board. It's got straps as well, but that doesn't matter if you have them or not. If you're just cruising along, it really doesn't matter. Then I wanted to pump to get up on foil, and I thought that as it was inflatable and it's softer, that it would absorb my pushes, but it didn't really. Or maybe it did, but it wasn't noticeable. So it was really easy to get up on foil, and it was the same. I used the same one as I used on the rigid one before. Now, what I've noticed is that it was actually more stable being on that inflatable one. And my theory is that it's less direct. So if some disturbance in the water moves the foil, then on the rigid one, it directly translates to the board and to yourself, and the inflatable one actually absorbs that movement. That's my theory. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe you can comment if you have different opinions on that, but it was really comfortable cruising along. And obviously, if you want to go super fast and feel every little movement of the foil, then it's not the way to go. But if you're just planning on cruising along, having a good time, maybe do a few jibes, a few tacks, but no jumps and no super high speeds, then I have to admit that the inflatable one here might actually be the better choice for you. Now, something else that is discussed often is that if you touch the water with the inflatable board, it would start being glued to the water or break a lot more than the rigid one. But I never had that feeling. I touched the water sometimes, even at lower speeds, and it didn't move that much, didn't break more than the rigid one. So that's really, for me, that's not really an issue. Then I also wanted to see how it behaved when it was on foil. I wanted to pump it a bit and see how it would behave. And of course, it's a little bit less agile. That might also be due to the length, obviously, but overall it's a really comfortable way to wingfoil. So I'm really happy about it, and a friend of mine who actually wants to buy gear now, he wants to start pump foiling. I always said, ooh, watch out for the inflatable ones. They could be an issue, but after this session today, I have to say that actually, if you want to start, go for the inflatable one. Especially you want to get a long, narrow one on the Swiss lakes where you don't have a lot of waves. Or you might even go into downwind foiling. You've seen Ludo Free Foiler. He did a flat water paddle up with an inflatable board, so even that's possible. So there's no more excuses. You can't really get that inflatable board. Now there's just one thing. If you want to do tighter turns, like on this tack, for example, you have to know that the board reacts a little bit slower than the rigid one. So you just need to get some time to get used to it. But it is super, it is possible, it is great. So I can highly recommend it. If you've enjoyed this video and you like this content, give it a like, subscribe if you want more foiling content. And if you're still here, thank you very much for watching till the end. I have a surprise for you. I've started a podcast. It's called Up on Foil with Gael Daniele, the Italian pump foiler you've probably already seen. And we're going to talk all about foiling, whether that be wing foiling, pump foiling, kite foiling, or whatever. Anything on foil is fine. And we have interesting guests we're going to talk to. It's going to be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. So if you want to know more about it, if you want to get the information first, subscribe here so you get all the information. See you in the next one. Cheers.